Hey, Dr. Gus Vickery. I'm in my clinic and I just had a good encounter with someone. And, I feel like there's so much that could help so many people from what I learned. So I've stepped into my conference room and I'm creating a very amateur video because I didn't want to forget about this before I could share it with you. A patient came in. She is a great person, works hard, deals with stressful circumstances, and really struggles with her weight. And she has struggled with how to change her eating behaviors. She basically suggested that she just can't seem to stop eating the bad food. I asked what the bad food was, and she said the usual suspects of processed foods, not fast foods, but processed foods, especially sugary foods. And then she went on to reflect about how she lacks self-discipline and really placed the blame for this issue squarely on her own shoulders, which is only going to add to her stress issues. Now, this is a person who raises a child who has special needs and is a great mother. She's a good wife. She's a hard worker. She's self-educated. She has enormous self-discipline. She struggles with eating behaviors. So I asked a few questions, and my point was to help her to feel better about herself, because feeling bad about yourself doesn't usually result in anything good, any positive change. Good change doesn't come from shame or guilt or assigning bad qualities to ourselves. It comes from having the right desires, which I've talked about. But in this case, I just gave her a brief tip, and it's a tip I want to share with you. And we teach this in more detail in our series that covers the mind and hunger. But this person has an issue with binge eating when she tastes certain foods. Now, I explained to her that the way our brain works with food is that if you encounter certain flavors in high concentrations, sugar, salt, fat, and glutamate, that your brain is designed in such a way that those will trigger the reward system. And when that happens, you will turn off your normal higher level control of eating behavior. Meaning, you say you don't have willpower. Guess what? It's true, but not because you don't have willpower, but because the reward system turned it off. It also will override normal satiety function. So typically, when you eat a lot of food, the response to that will be to create a sense of fullness. But when you have these high reward containing foods, you end up overriding that so you don't feel that fullness, so you binge eat. And I explained to her that in our earlier periods of humankind, that if you encounter those flavors, our brain was trained to have you binge eat them because they represented protein, minerals, and sources of energy. And you never knew when you might get another meal. So our brain is designed in such a way that if you encounter certain flavors in concentrated form, you will binge eat because that's what you're programmed to do. My main point of this is, one, understand that point, that for processed foods concentrated salt and sugar and fat, are in fact designed to be addictive. It's an addiction problem, not a willpower problem. And you don't beat addiction through willpower alone. So you have to understand that. And so first, you kind of got to get them out of the house. You got to make them hard to have. But secondly, I wanted her to understand that this wasn't a reflection of her character, of who she is as a person. It's just a challenging situation, and one that I think she'll eventually get victory because she has strong willpower. She has strong desires to improve her health. But we had to get her to stop thinking as much about her weight and really just thinking about what is the best next step to get her to her goals. What is it that she wants for her? The desire piece. So one, if you struggle with not being able to control your eating behaviors with certain foods, remember, that's how your brain was programmed. Don't beat yourself up about it, but also understand what you're dealing with. Two, understand willpower is important. We discuss how to build it, but it can't override your reward system. Ultimately, once the reward system is triggered, it's going to turn off willpower. Three, don't blame yourself for this stuff. Just figure it out and be ready to take the next right step. Feel good about you. This is not a reflection of who you are. right? It's just old trained patterns in your brain, many of which started before you were at an age to choose. So remember this. Now, if you want more information about all the eating stuff, you can watch some of our series on nutrition and eating behaviors and weight loss. But my main message to you today is don't be so hard on yourself. Be kind to yourself. Be okay with you, but then also be ready to strongly desire your best health and figure out what needs to happen next. So anyway, I got to get back to my clinic and see another patient. But that encounter, I don't know why, it just affected me. And I wanted to come share it with you too, because I want you to feel good about you. And I want you to feel good about the health that you have and the health that you will have with the right next steps. Consider subscribing. Consider visiting us at Health Shepherds. Anyway, thank you. Have a great day.